A lot of people in United States, they don't want to work for consulting companies such as HCL, Tech Mahindra, Persistent Systems, TCS. Why? So let me explain to you a little bit. First is the what Infosys CEO said. They expect even contract employee whose obligation is to log in for only 8 hours in a day for 20 days in a month. They expect them to work for 10 hour 11 hour in a day, so it's never fixed. They expect you to work for long period. Second, they add roles and responsibilities little bit extra than what you are supposed to do. So by this I'll give you an example. These consulting companies like HCL, and they will release a role for front end developer with solid background experience. Okay, it means they are looking for somebody who has solid UI development skill along with solid strong skills in Spring Boot microservices and things like that, 5+ years. So why don't simply ask for a backend developer, right? Sorry, full stack developer. That would make a lot of sense to hire a full stack developer who can do front end and back end as well. But the thing is, the full stack developer, he won't be leaning strongly toward front end, right? They are good at both, but not extremely well off at either of these skills. That's why they are called full stack. Somebody if somebody is doing front end or UI development for a long period of time, then that means they are specialized in that skill set. That's one example. Another example is they would release a role like Intune Architect. It is a tool which is used to manage endpoint management, right? But that's not what they need. They also need, along with Intune Architect, they should be expert in Okta IAM, Identity and Access Management. That means they are looking for somebody who has solid experience with Intune architecture, along with somebody has solid experience with Okta, which is an IAM tool. So they are looking for one person to do the two people role, right? But that is not tough as well. That could be managed. There are people who can do that, a lot of people out there. But real caveat is when you come down to salary. So how does it work is, suppose that you are an end client, suppose Apple, and you outsourced your project to the consulting company, suppose that HCL, and you share them hourly rate for the front end developer like $110, right? So when they will share this role to the vendors, they would simply take out 40% of that rate. That means if it was $100, then vendors would receive the requirement where the maximum rate would be $60 to $65. Like they have to submit solid candidate in that rate. Along with that, the vendor company who is representing that role, their focus is also to keep the huge margin for them, at least for $5 per hour, right? Along with that, the payment term is net 45. Like that's okay. Payment term can be manageable, but rate, that's a big issue. Like when you are working on a SAP role, SAP lead or SAP architect role, the rate you will receive would be around $90 max, 90, 95, even top 100. But the rate from the client side would be 180. But TCA, those company like HCL, TechM, they will keep the $60 to $70 for themselves. But even that's not enough. Suppose that a guy who is on visa and he really needs the job because the visa has limited duration, and if you don't make the best of that duration, then that's not good for you, right? So living in USA is expensive, so you have to ensure that once your project is over, if you're working on contract, within first week of finishing your project you get a new project. So even though you get a new project, you have to ensure the what's the rate for that project, right? Suppose that you have 15 years of experience as a SAP consultant, you can't join on 65 $70 per hour. So let me explain to you another scenario why senior guys, especially senior guys who have experience above 10 years, around 8 9 10 years, who somebody who is really skilled. Suppose that they are really looking for job and they submitted their profile for front-end developer at $60 per hour. They have 10 years of experience. Vendor submitted that at $65 per hour to the HCL. HCL will look through the resume. They will schedule the L1. Everything goes well. Your interview was really well. They really liked your profile, but still your second round is will not be scheduled depending upon how urgent it is. If it is a normal urgency, then they will look for other candidates whose profile was submitted at $62 per hour or $60 per hour. This process might take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, until there is a time limit from the client that this project should be started from Monday. Until then, they will not show urgency to close the deal. So they will shop and bargain to see if, yeah, candidate on $65 was really good, but if somebody we can find someone who was submitted on 60, that would be perfect. So that is another scenario which leads to a lot of frustration for the people. So these are few reasons that consultant in USA really avoid working for these consulting companies. If you talk about, not all the companies are bad, like Cognizant, Deloitte, Accenture, like they offer very respectable rates. So normally people don't show much hesitation when working with those companies. If that's not enough, there is another problem, huge problem with this HCL persistent system, a company like that, their VMS has a huge issue. If you're live for a different at different location with the same client, where the client is HCL or this consulting companies, your profile will not be submitted because it would show a duplicate profile. So it is another issue. I have made a separate video for it, so you can go ahead and watch it. So if you have been here, thanks for watching this and please subscribe.